Yeah, I'm just gonna give a warning to this video. It's about the death of 4-month-old baby Sterling Koehn. I've been trying to do this case. I wrote the script, my first script to this, 2019, and I've sat down to do it multiple times and I can't get through it. I either get too upset. Yeah, it's a hard one. I think it's made worse the fact that it just didn't have to happen. Baby Sterling was found dead in a mechanical swing in his bedroom. I say that very loosely. The room was dark, no air moving around, very warm, and the evidence showed that this baby died from malnutrition, dehydration and nappy rash. He was also found with an infestation of maggots whilst he was alive. This baby died alone, unloved, scared, in pain, completely neglected. See, I'm going already. As a woman with fertility issues who hasn't been able to have a baby, oh god, this case pisses me off. That these pair of scumbags had this amazing gift, this healthy baby boy, and they just let him rot and starve to death while they were busy smoking crack in the next room. I give this warning because this case, I think, is very damaging to the mind. It's mad. I don't understand when parents get so angry that they shake a baby to death out of anger. But I can understand how they might get to that level. It's not right. It's completely uncalled for. You know, put the baby on the floor and walk away. Punch a wall. Do anything but hurt the baby. But this little baby, Sterling, he sat in that swing, in that dirty nappy, infested with maggots for between 9 and 14 days. This was prolonged neglect, prolonged indifference to life. And that to me seems even more evil than shaking the baby out of anger. So yeah, if this video is not for you, and it's not going to be for everyone, I would click off now. I'm going to be doing a lot of cutaway editing because there's a lot of pictures I want to show. So yeah, if this is not for you, then I completely understand and I'd click off now. If you are sticking around, let's get into it. So this case takes place in Alta Vista, in an apartment that baby Sterling shared with his 2-year-old sister Nala, his mother, again, I hate using that word, his mother, Cheyenne Harris, and his dad is Zachary Koehn. On the 30th of August at 11:30, apparently Cheyenne goes to check on the baby and then goes into Zach crying, blah de blah, baby's dead, like it's some big shock. So that was at 11:30. The 911 call didn't go into dispatch until 12:55. On the phone, Zachary says he thinks the baby's died from SIDS, which is sudden infant death syndrome, because he had a friend whose baby died that way. The first responders got there about 5 minutes later. When the first responder got to the room was warm, stuffy. The baby's room didn't have a cot. The baby, Sterling, was just kept in the baby swing. That was his bed. That's why I said his bedroom, but it weren't. It was just a dump room where things went to be dumped, including this defenseless little 4-month-old baby. Now, I can't remember what the person said testifying, but I'm sure he said that his room was 10 degrees hotter than the other rooms in the house, because the other rooms had air conditioning and fans on. Baby Sterling's room didn't. The window was shut and the door was kept shut. So this room was way hotter than anywhere else. Now that's important. Yeah, the room was an absolute mess. There was a mattress, just a bare mattress leaning up against the wall. There was couch cushions just on the floor. There was a baby bouncer. There was a baby car seat. There was clean nappies, which is important. There was clean baby ointment. And there was like soda bottles just on the floor. Also on the floor underneath the baby swing, which looked like it had been put under because, you know, Sterling had been in this seat for anywhere up to 9 to 14 days in the same nappy, and the urine and feces had started to seep through the nappy, the closed car seat and onto the floor. So instead of cleaning the baby, they decided to just shove stuff underneath the car seat, the swing seat, and that included a baby blanket, a sheet, a little girl's dress and blue pants. They were all soaked in urine because the urine had been dripping. The smell in this room as well is something else that people have said, that the smell was just absolutely putrid. Scattered around the swing were wax melts. If you don't know what wax melts are, you can get like a wax melt. I've got two. And you put a candle underneath this like little dish that you put the wax melt in, and obviously the candle heats the wax up, the wax melts, and it smells nice. It's like an air freshener. They were unopened, scattered around the swing, like they'd just been throwing it around. So when the first responder went up to the baby Sterling and moved his blanket to check on him. Maggots came out. There was maggots crawling all over Sterling's body. His clothes were dry and crusty. There was mould starting to grow. There was body fluids. And this bit really gets me because the first responder says his little hand was clenched because rigor mortis set in at this point. He was cold and he was stiff. They measured him and weighed him. He was 14 inches long and he was 7 pounds. The photographs that were taken at the scene, because it was declared a crime scene immediately, thankfully, muscle wastage was clear to see in the photos. He had on little army pants and he had a little t-shirt on that said "Let's play." Also on the floor was a baby bottle with baby milk in it. Now the baby milk is spoiled because the photo shows that it's split. The formula's split into the milk and water. It's just split because it's stale, it's sour, it's gone bad. That was just found on the floor. It's as if they just threw the bottle, as if they expected him to stand up and feed himself. Now the rest of the apartment looked like a shithole, but it weren't as bad as Sterling's bedroom. Like I said, Sterling's room just looks like the dump site. In the cupboards and in the fridge there was food, plenty of food. In the cupboards they found baby formula, so there was plenty of baby milk. Now the police didn't find dirty nappies, but they could smell them, and the trash can had soap suds in the bottom as if it had been washed. Hello baby. Oh, my little cat Leo, he's not well. I'm going to take him to the vet soon as an emergency. He's really unwell. Are you sausage? Oh, good boy. So next to Sterling's bedroom, the second bedroom was there. It had a double bed in. It was shared by Cheyenne, Zach, and 2-year-old Nala. Hiya, mate. Nala had like it looked like a pop-up playpen cot, like a travel cot kind of thing, but in it there was toys and there was a blanket and it was clean and it was dry. The bedroom door was open and it had a fan that was going, so it was nice and airy and cool. Yeah, the contrast between Nala's stuff and Sterling's stuff was insane. Yeah. Oh, he's not feeling well. Poor baby. Police found in Cheyenne's purse a receipt from a nearby food store dated the 26th of August. And the total was $123. Sorry, dollars. $123 worth of food. Now they didn't see a dog when they got there. The dog had been moved. The dog's name was Leo, same as my cat. And like, it weren't there. They must have moved it. Like I said, They found Sterling at apparently 11:30, but they didn't phone till nearly 1. So in that time they've obviously cleaned up, got rid of any dirty nappies, dressed Nala in a nice little frilly dress, and took the dog somewhere. Now there was evidence of dog food, dog shampoo, dog conditioner and dog vitamins. Now Zach even said on the stand, he took the stand, Cheyenne never, even said on the stand, you know, I did take better care of me dog than me baby. So at least he's honest. Now I really disliked Cheyenne's legal team. I thought they were very disrespectful throughout. Yeah, you've got to defend someone within the law, but at the same time, you know, you don't have to be cunts about it. I just didn't like them. It was a man and a woman. I'll show you some pictures of them grinning at certain points throughout. Now on cross-examination, her legal team brought up pointless points, I think, but they still brought them up. They asked the police, well, did CCTV from the store get collected, and the police said no. And they were like, well then you don't know if Cheyenne went shopping for it. And it's like, well mate, the receipts in her purse, the food's in her house, you know, at this point it doesn't really matter. Now there was no curtains, but in Sterling's bedroom they had a blanket over the curtain. And Cheyenne's legal team said, well, there was also a blanket in all the rooms over the windows, so it wasn't just Sterling's room. Ironically, remember I've just said to you about the bottle where the milk was split just on the floor. Now her legal team said, well then that's proof that he was getting fed, even though we know he died of dehydration, malnutrition, and the milk had gone bad in that bottle anyway. God knows how long it had been there. It's not proof that she was feeding the baby, it's proof that she weren't. The legal team are off the head. They also said, well, were fingerprints collected on the baby bottle, because it might not have been Cheyenne who touched it and left it on the floor. It's like, mate, fuck off. And then he also said, well, the stuff on the floor scattered around. He had a 2-year-old, so maybe the 2-year-old done it. Now, one of the claims that Cheyenne's female lawyer says that Cheyenne is not the monster in this case. The only monster is mental illness, because she was suffering from postpartum depression, which doesn't fly at all, because we've got the contrast of Nala and herself and Zach. They were all well fed. Nala was clean, fed, watered, she had toys, she was played with, so it doesn't even cut it. The defence brought a witness called Dr. O'Hara, who said that Cheyenne was suffering from postpartum depression, loneliness, plus some addiction to meth. But then prosecutors countered that and said, well, that doesn't make sense because of the way Nala was looked after. The doctor then responded by laughing, and then had to agree with the prosecution. So, great witness. He also claimed that he had not been given access to Cheyenne's social media, which proved that she, you know, she was very sociable, she was flirting, she was messaging men, she was sleeping with men. I'm going to show you the picture of baby Sterling and a picture of Zach. Now, to me, this baby is just the absolute spit of Zach. But because he was lighter skinned than what Nala was, and he had blue eyes. People started making comments straight away to Zach saying, I'd question if he's yours. Now Zach understands, said, it wouldn't have mattered if you weren't mine anyway, you were still mine regardless. Now I don't believe that. I actually think that Zach, because Zach apparently idolised Nala, just loads of photos of them playing, and he absolutely worshipped this baby. And he was completely different to Sterling. He treated him completely different. I think that played a major role in the neglect of this baby. I think the paternity was causing issues, and I think Cheyenne pulled away from caring for Sterling because he was the source of all this just aggro in their family. That's what I personally think. Now they done a DNA test and they said to Zach, he is yours, you know. And I do wonder how that made him feel. Cheyenne also said that she pulled away from interacting with Sterling because Nala would get upset every time she held the baby or cleaned him, spent any time with him. Nala would get really jealous. So Cheyenne pulled away because it was upsetting Nala. That to me is the lamest excuse in the world. But that's what she said. So Cheyenne said she last seen and fed Sterling 9 p.m. on the 29th of August. And she didn't see him again until 11:30 that morning when she went in and he was dead. Now one of the first responders questioned her because she said 9:30 last night, don't you mean 9:30 this morning, because a baby would need feeding in between that time? And Cheyenne just apparently said, oh yeah, maybe. This is a 4-month-old baby. 4-month-old babies just eat, sleep and poop. So when this baby was took to the medical examiner, the maggots were at all different stages of development and they were all collected and bagged. Some of them were fed so that they could be grew to see what fly or what they were, and some of them were preserved as they were because this allowed the entomologist to figure out what stage they were at. That's how come we get that they were at the development of between 9 and 14 days. This proved that he had not been moved at all, because if he had been, the maggots would have not been there. So Sterling, he had severe nappy rash. It covered his entire nappy area and it had started to go up his back. Now his skin had started to fall off, which then allowed all the E. coli from the feces in the nappy to get into his bloodstream, making him severely ill. He would have been so infected. Now I think it's called myiasis, where someone who is alive is infected with maggots, and adults who have had a wound, who have being infected with maggots have said that they can feel it crawling and it's very uncomfortable. So this baby would have felt these maggots eating them alive, plus the E. coli, that infection alone. Zach's brother Danny, now I think Zach was 29 and Cheyenne was 19 at the time. Zach's brother took the stand in his trial. His name was Danny, and he said that you know, Zach left school at 14 and, you know, he had an on and off relationship with drugs. He was married and divorced. He had a 7-year-old son who was getting brought up by his grandparents. And Zach didn't really see his eldest son. In Zach's police interview, he talked non-stop for 30 minutes to reiterate he worked all the time, he weren't there, Cheyenne was in charge, she was meant to take care of the kids, that weren't his responsibility. He also said that throughout the entirety of August, he didn't hold Sterling once. He said he'd go in and he held his finger and he swung it a few times, and that was about it. He also said on the stand that he put his trust in the wrong person. Now I know he worked a lot, but that to me is just no excuse. He also said that he had a weak stomach, so he didn't do nappies. And on the stand he was asked, well, if your stomach's that weak, couldn't you smell how he smelled? I mean, the infection alone would have smelled, the E. coli would have made him smell, plus the feces, plus the urine. And he said he made a few comments to Cheyenne saying, you know, he smells a bit, and Cheyenne would just always say, oh, it's just spilled milk, it's just gone a bit sour. And he just believed her. Yeah. That just doesn't cut it for me. It really, really doesn't. I appreciate that he says he took better care of his dog than his baby. But, like, on the stand, Zach said that on August 28th, he noticed a foul smell. He went to sleep and then went to work. On the 29th of August, Zach got home from work about 1 AM. He said this was the last time he's seen Sterling. He said he made grilled cheese for himself, Nala and Cheyenne, so it's nice to know they were all getting fed. And then they all went to bed. On August 30th, he had played a game on his phone at 3:30 AM. And he made Nala something to eat. He went to bed about 6 AM, and then Cheyenne woke him up about 11:30. Zach places the call at 1 PM. He said it took that long because he didn't have a signal on his phone. I'm sorry, if your baby's dead, knock on neighbours. It's a load of shit anyway. He claimed on the stand that if he had known that Sterling weren't getting fed or changed, he would have done it. When he seen Sterling, he was cold, and he was just looking straight ahead, and he knew he was dead. When first responders got outside, Zach was outside smoking. And he said that he and Cheyenne were not using drugs, but they were. The medical examiner on the stand said that his name was Dr. Dennis Klein. He's really good. He claimed that the cause of death was malnutrition and dehydration, which could be seen in the brain, along with severe nappy rash and infection. It's just insane that he died of severe nappy rash when there was nappy rash ointment there, there was clean nappies there, and there was baby food there. Sterling had a perforated stomach due to when the body decomposes, which is caused by acids and enzymes. And he had been dead for a few hours. There had been no assault on the baby, and natural illness had been ruled out. There was no abnormalities or parasites. It was concluded that they had allowed the baby to die a slow, painful and lonely death. Cheyenne's defence said it was not a crime, it was just a tragedy. Someone else took the stand in Cheyenne's trial. It was a man. I can't remember. I wrote his name down somewhere. Doesn't matter. He was a work colleague who worked with Zach. Now, Zach was a truck driver. He transferred chicks to and from, I don't know, slaughterhouse or something. And this person was a friend of Zach's, and he would often go round and smoke meth. Sometimes he'd bring it, sometimes it was already there. And by the way, this was really good. Alcohol-free beer. It's nice, refreshing. Yeah, he took the stand and he said that he went round quite often smoking. And he said Nala was always there playing, and that they'd go into the bedroom to smoke meth. And I know I said crack before, but it was meth. But then he said he didn't even know that they had a baby. Now, what's even more interesting is Cheyenne and this man were sleeping together behind Zach's back. Now, there was a lot of cheating on both sides. So this man weren't just round there socially smoking drugs. He was also round there sleeping with Cheyenne. At a time where she's supposed to be suffering from depression. Unable to take care of herself and the baby and the kids in the house. Even though she could take care of herself and a baby and a dog, she just chose to not take care of a baby boy. Yeah, I found it really interesting that he didn't even know they had a baby boy. So Zach obviously weren't talking about it. He must have been kept in that bedroom 99% of the time. This baby was neglected throughout his entire life for them 4 months. They would palm him off on neighbours or anyone who would babysit him while him and while Cheyenne, Zach and Nala all went out for things to eat and doing things, one of the babysitters who took the stand, she said she started to notice that he was starting to feel really light, he weren't gaining weight. Cheyenne, as soon as he got discharged from the hospital, she didn't do any follow-up appointments, nothing. And the only photos taken were from her mum, which is obviously the baby's nan. She took the stand, but she didn't want to be seen, which says a lot. In the previous year to this, an Iowa Des Moines investigation found that there were 11 children who had died from abuse at the hands of the parents due to meth. This area did have a real issue with drugs. But again, I'm not prepared to blame the drugs, because if drugs were the issue, both children would have suffered the same, and they didn't. Baby Sterling was the scapegoat of the family. Simple as. This was nothing to do with drugs. This was nothing to do with poverty. This was a choice of selfish scumbag parents. And I truly believe that Zach didn't believe he was his. Both Zach and Cheyenne were charged with murder and child neglect, and both were found guilty and sentenced to life. Zach blames Cheyenne. Like I said, he said that he put his trust in the wrong person. He felt that because Cheyenne was such a good mother to Nala, that the same would apply to Sterling, but it never. But that doesn't mean he can go a whole month without even holding his baby, without changing a nappy. You know, I've got 2 cats, and, you know, they're sick, they get diarrhea. You know, you just got to clean it up. Leo was sick 11 times yesterday, and I felt like I was up the wall cleaning sick, but it's tough. They can't do it. You know, that's what, you know, animal mums and dads, or baby mum and dads, that, you know, don't have kids, don't get animals if that's not something you're prepared to do. Like I said, it's heartbreaking that they were given this gift of this amazing, beautiful baby boy, healthy, and they treated him. They completely dehumanized him. He wasn't even an afterthought. He was left in that room, in that swing, facing the wall, alone for nearly 2 weeks, not fed, not held, not cleaned. It says a lot when a fly mum is a better mum to her maggots than Cheyenne was to her baby boy. I think Nala is with the grandparents, and I haven't heard anything from Zach, but apparently Cheyenne has been complaining because she's getting picked on. Well, bitch, don't neglect your baby. Don't be the cause of your baby's death. Then you don't have to go to prison, and then you won't get bullied. But you know what? I hope she is getting bullied. I hope she gets bullied every single day of her life. I hope she has a horrendous time for what she did to that baby. I know this one's been, I don't even know the word. Like I said, it just did not need to happen. If you've stuck around throughout, thank you. If not, then you won't hear this anyway. The next case that I'm going to cover is Donald Smith, who murdered 8-year-old. I mean, he tortured this poor baby to death. He kidnapped, raped and murdered an 8-year-old little girl called Cherish Periwinkle. I've spent the last week researching, so I just need to do my notes and I'll get it filmed. And I just want to say thank you for sticking around. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you in my next one. Ta-ra.